Why Blizzardworld? What happened there?
I don't know. I just feel like I need to know more.
You
Not
need them
really
more.
anything in specific. Yeah.
Okay, but is there a reason that you chose Blizzardworld compared to the others?
Uh, to be honest, not really.
Okay,
Just I just kind of want to go over Blizzardworld.
alright, that's fine. How's it going with your team anyways? Like, I heard you have tries again or something like this?
Yeah, we have a flag support trial now, and we're in a different org. I don't know. It's a whole new thing.
Yeah, different org, oh. Didn't even notice.
Yeah.
But, like, you're still on the same server, aren't you?
I don't.
Oh no?
No, we're not. No, we swapped servers. I think Faye's our new manager
Yeah, that's
instead of Woo.
yeah, that's what I know. But I just still you see you on the Oracle server, on the Overwatch player. So I assumed that you're still in the kind of under this team. But
Well, it's all the same players, but like we have a new manager, and we just pretty much just left that org, and yeah, we're in a new one, but we still have the player role in that server.
okay. But if we have a what to you at some point, maybe even this Sunday. No, I think she already wrote me that you
Yeah,
don't want to do it this Sunday. Then I should go
if
to
you
a
ever
different
have
server.
one, yeah, you'll get invited to a new one.
Okay. But changing. Okay. All right. And then I want this like your like how's it good with the comms? Is there any like I see you played a double shield. Is this what you play the whole time on Blizzardworld, or you swap around later?
We play it for most of Blizzardworld, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think so far about your double shield comp with your team?
You're not streaming, by the way.
Oh, I'm not
But
streaming. Okay.
we haven't played all too much together. We just a lot of stuff has been happening for a while,
Mm-hmm.
so we haven't played all that much together. So we just need to work on synergy and probably rotating more.
Okay. And do you so far basically you just decided as a team like okay, we will try a little bit double shield and it's going okay so far, but it's basically at the early stages where you
Yeah.
cannot really say much.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, fine. Then we can definitely go over some fights and can give my impressions and so on. Do you want me to focus on something particular, especially like obviously then your job, which I include, or should I also like say my opinion about the others?
What do you mean?
Like, I mean, should I only focus on you, like on your performance compared to the team, or like in contact, like in connection with the team, or should I also maybe talk about a little bit? Okay, what do I think the Sigma, the Orisa have to do, and so on?
Probably generally.
Okay,
Yeah,
much generally.
like yeah.
Okay, then as always, right before we jump into the what, as I always like to do it at least, let's talk about this composition a little bit and the idea behind it, so that we are on the same page as at the very least. And yeah, so we're playing this, right? Like, how does this composition work in your words?
Like what does each person do?
No, just like don't. I mean, you can go for each person. You can also not. Like, I just
Or just in
how do you?
general?
Yeah, like in general, like how do you win? How do you lose? How do you kind of get kills? Obviously, because at the end of the day, you want to win fights, and for this, you need to get
Yeah.
kills. So yeah.
You kind of have your sig. Okay, so you push like angles and corners together, but then as the fight breaks out, you kind of want to split and play off angles for pressuring different angles so you can get out cooldowns and then walk onto them.
So do you want to? So okay, like definitely I hear two win conditions or like two things, two main things. Actually, you on the one side you want to take angles, and then at some other point you want to push. Is this correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and how do you decide when to do what?
You should take angles at the start of the fight, and then mid-fight collapse on the angles onto the enemy team.
Okay. And when we talk about taking angles and so on, like who do we play around there? Like, you know, like, because obviously, like, I mean, who takes basically the angles is the question.
The Sig, Break, and Ash. Or normally the Sig, one hits, 1 DPS and 1 support.
Mm-hmm. And then the others, like the Risa and the Bab, are
Other
taking
support.
another
Yeah,
one. Mm-hmm. Okay. And when we push, who do we play around there?
yeah. The Brig. Or the Sig Brig would usually push from one angle, and then the Orisa Bap would push from the other.
Okay, so we do not stay together. We also split here, or do we are standing together? When you push in, do you want to be like as a
Oh,
group,
when you
like a
push in?
sixth, or yeah,
Yeah.
yeah?
At the start, when you're pushing in, you start as 6, and then you take off angles.
Okay.
Yeah.
You start group and then okay. Um. Uh. Yeah. All right. Okay. I mean, definitely. I agree with most of it. What you're saying, like to give my bit of my experience or like my opinion about this. And let me just kind of lead and write it again. In my opinion, what you're playing here is a obviously like a double cheat composition, and I completely agree with you. Also, I think there are kind of mostly two main strategies you can incorporate with this. You can either play for the spam version, and as we know, obviously, without going all of this again, as spam, one of the most important things is that we take different angles, because if we have different angles, we force out more cooldowns from the enemy team, and the more cooldowns we force out, obviously, at some point they will have none anymore. So either they have to go back and spawn, which helps us, or they will die on this position. So that's kind of how the spam composition works. And obviously, in this case, who do we play around? I mean, as you said correctly, we play around the characters have the most range damage. So definitely, I guess the Ashe. And then we can say, is it Baptiste or Risa, stuff like this, but somebody else, right? Like we want to obviously take the Ashe, has to shoot from a different angle than the others. So let's just call it like the Baptiste or like the Risa. It doesn't really have to be like one player. It's more like in this case, okay, we want to make sure that the Ashe is the most important one. And if we would also stand by side of the Ashe, then obviously the enemy Rhino would just shield all of our damage. But if we play obviously from a different point of view, let's say here, and the Rhino shields like this, then the Ashe can actually decent damage, as an example. So what does it mean for us? Okay, if we want to take make sure the Ashe can kind of get this off angle, or she can kind of stay in a position where we can shoot easily, then obviously we want to support her. So naturally we put a tank with her to give her a shield, or to, I mean, it's called still double shield, right? To like support her against any threats. And it also means to have like a consistent healing. We can either put the Brig in there. It's generally speaking, Sig Brig is a nice combination, because you are both more mobile than a Baptiste and the Orisa, especially how the Sigma can obviously push and remove his shield way faster. So this kind of combination here is a great pushing group, right? Like if we want to take more space at some point, normally it will always be the Sig, Break, and Ashe group that is being more aggressive and kind of taking the space, and the Orisa Baptiste, at least from my experience, are then more the slower version that push the payload, for example, that goes the middle, that kind of stays on point, that kind of holds their position, is like an anchor for the team. And obviously, in this case, we have the Tracer, and obviously the Tracer is a little bit of a wild card here. I like not saying that it's a bad pick, no, of course not. I'm just saying that the Tracer has so much mobility, so much sustain, that she can if needed, take a different angle herself, or maybe she can try to actually also support our Ashe doing her job. For example, if she then stays on a different side, like on the other side here, and fights against, for example, the enemy tracer with obviously the brick support, so to make sure that the enemy tracer cannot maybe stage a dive against our Ashe, or something like this. Or as I said, the tracer can also be a little bit more aggressive, depends on her play style, and looks to finish off the kills or maybe annoying an enemy widow or something like this. But it's definitely not a composition that enables a tracer to be kind of the carry as it would be in a ball tracer comp, right? Where you can definitely say, okay, we go more aggressive, we play more for this dive style, where we give tracer all of the cooldowns and all of the resources. Does this make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, then obviously you also said, like, like this push version. So I just call it different, but doesn't matter, it's just names. I call it basically brawl. Where definitely, obviously, you want to push, or where the most important thing in a brawl strategy, doesn't matter what composition you play, is that you survive, basically you sustain. Like the most, like your focus in a brawl is always staying alive longer than every team, and this is like, like not dying is basically the importance there. Like compared to this to a dive composition, where obviously in a dive composition, it's more about, okay, we just kill them really quickly, like the bursting somebody down, the killing process is the important thing. In a brawl team, doesn't matter if it's Reinhardt brawl, if it's a Orisa double shield brawl, the focus should always be on we just survive longer. So obviously then immediately we're thinking about like impactful cooldown traits and so on. And obviously, how can we survive for the longest time? Obviously, if we stay grouped as sixth, we push in as a group, we stay in a group. We can talk about this in a second when you take, like we want to split off, we can discuss this. But definitely we are both agreeing that when you push in, when you obviously make a rotation from A to B, for example, you want to use the defensive cooldowns that you have to kind of get through there without any major harm done. And also, if you're then fighting close range against somebody, you also want to be basically as grouped as possible to a certain extent, to cycle your cooldowns, because right, you want to do like the Orisa shield first, and when this breaks, then the Sigma shield, and then the Orisa fortify, and then the Sigma E, like, but it's all like behind each other, like all kind of in order. Not like you don't want to do it, because if you obviously if you're splitting so much, and let's say like the Orisa is here, the Sigma is here, then both shields will get forced immediately, because if obviously the Sigma doesn't put the shield up, then I don't know, like a potential McCree or stuff like this can just headshot him. So, and then also like both cooldowns get forced out immediately. So if we just stay together, we can just like sustain on this position for a longer time, because they all have to shoot the Orisa shield first, then the Sigma shield, then the fortify, and obviously the longer or like when the Orisa shield is already broken, then obviously in the whole time where the Sigma is tanking, the Orisa cooldown can recharge. What do you think about this idea?
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and this is, to be honest, also the main reason why I would say, if you're brawling, then I would recommend, or like in my experience at least, I think it's best to just really stay together. And if you say, you know what, like now we pushed, for example, like this location, we pushed now into this high ground, the enemy team had to back away, they have to give us space, then we can definitely say, okay, like we conquered this position, the position B here. Now let's go back to the spam style and split up. And now we can say, okay, the Sigma goes here again, the Orisa splits, and we go back to the spam strategy. But I think there's a clear distinction between, okay, we push, or like we push as a brawl, basically we push as 6, or we can also spam. And obviously, like, when do you choose what to this question, right? Like, when do you spam and when do you brawl? It's obviously it's always situational. That, I mean, that's what the whole composition, like all this hybrid composition, doesn't matter if it's a ball tracer, and then Sigma Ashe hybrid composition, or like this double shield thing here. the great advantage is that you're flexible, that you can always choose which strategy suits you better in a certain situation. And every situation depends on like the ultimates, the HP, the cooldowns, and the position. Like depending on this four, and this, you will never find a situation where only one is important. This is always kind of this pack. You always have to consider them as like as four kind of criteria which are obviously never singled out. And depending on this, you either want to brawl to win the fight, or you just want to win the fight with spam. For example, if we then take a look at what they play, right? They have now the Ball Tracer, and they have the Sigma and the San Hanzo, so obviously also a hybrid composition. They can either play dive, or they can play more for the spammy style. And then we obviously have to now think about, okay, we don't want to, I guess, just brawl them, basically just stick together and run at them, because we do not have a Lucio speed boost, we do not have a Symmetra TP. Like, I don't think we will catch them, and the moment we kind of make all of this rotation, I mean, they will just, I guess, take point, or they could just just shoot us from range, taking multiple angles and so on. So this could be definitely one thing, right? That we consider, that we maybe don't want to, like, at the start at least, start with a brawl style. Maybe we say, okay, you know what? They can also play maybe a little slower here with the Sen and with the Hanzo, who most likely want to take the angles. So we also just play on the spam style. We put kind of our main two groups into different positions, but we have to be really aware of them obviously always being able to just swap and say, okay, oops, huge ball, okay. Of them not just saying, okay, look, right now the Ball Tracer, they will just kind of dive our Baptiste or something like this. And there is, for example, where the Tracer comes in play, where the Tracer can maybe then say, okay, you know what, we will win this spam battle anyways against the Hanzo, against the Sen. Why? Because we literally have two shields, they only have one. And the threat from the Ball Tracer, we try to remove this basically, for example, with our Tracer, that the Tracer enemy, like our Tracer here, is taking, or like at least keeping track of where the Ball Tracer is going. So if the Ball Tracer is going like this, then we know, okay, most likely they will dive here. So our Tracer goes here. Maybe even you as a brick can even say, hey, they will, they're almost diving. And if possible, maybe you can make a rotation here, or at least you have the attention to heal and armor pack your Baptiste. And obviously the same way also for your Baptiste, if they know, hey, the Ball Tracer, wrong color, sorry. There's obviously the enemy Ball Tracer here. And of course, if the enemy Ball Tracer also goes to you, Ball Tracer, or like to more your side, which obviously you should notice, like depending on how they position, then Baptiste can already also say, hey, I will focus on my break to keep her alive, because obviously you don't have self-heal, at least not on this level. This also then means that our Tracer should be, hey, I, for example, can just match them. She will never be able to kill them, like no way. It's literally just 2 versus 1. So the goal is not of our Tracer to kill them, it's just to basically track them and not giving them the perfect dive condition, right? Like if there would be no Tracer, this is definitely also possible, but we have to play way more stacked together, because then they would have all the time in the world as a Ball Tracer to set up everything. Like they could just literally look for the perfect moment, and this obviously means that the dive is way stronger, which also then means for us, okay, how can we survive this? Maybe we have to actually stick more together. So have like the Baptiste with us and having only the Risa solo, because obviously Risa has a Fortify. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any questions about this? Or I just kind of presented a little bit?
No, I don't.
No? Okay, then
Nope.
let's check a little bit how you're playing it. So obviously, like, right, we watch it together, and then afterwards we can talk about kind of what you did really well as a team and what maybe could be improved on. All right, maybe so far. What do you think so far? What did you good? What like did your team good well? Did well? What maybe could be improved on? What's your opinion?
I think we've done well so far marking the off angles and spamming them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean I agree. When it comes to the angles, we I think did a decent job. Anything you feel like we could improve on?
Uh,
What do you think about your position there as Break? Yeah, obviously you're right. Like I mean, you were supporting your
if we
tracer.
scout ball on the right, I should probably be rotating so we can just walk onto them. If their ball is like on our mega right side, because we can't do much from there.
Mm-hmm.
Or if he does try and go from there, we can just mark him very easily.
Yeah. So you mean now, for example? And
Yeah.
where do you want to like? Where do you want to go? Like you said, do you want to walk on somebody?
Uh, I should not look at it. It'd be pretty hard to walk on this Sig. We can kind of maybe send our Sig Ash break high ground and force out Hanzo.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like what? Like completely correct. Like your assumption. And this is not only for this um for this scenario. Like what happens? What actually happened right now? Right? Is that you forced out like together with your tracer or your whole team basically, you forced out the ball and the tracer, right? Like you know that they are not threatening anybody, at least for the next, I don't know, 10 seconds, because you saw the ball grabbing a mega pack, the tracer is low HP, so he has to go back. And obviously they're not like they're in a way they're back here, right? They're not here just like waiting here for like a health pack. No, they're actually back in their spawn or like in their backline. So this means obviously that now your the threat on your backline or on your angles, like on this group here or maybe this group, is like heavily reduced, right? So
Yeah.
basically that means, like, just to make it super simple, because like you should not complicate it too much, it just simply means we have an advantage right now. We have a cooldown advantage and maybe a HP advantage, right? No cooldowns, no cooldowns, and obviously Tracer even low HP, so HP advantage. And how do we use this if you're playing for the spam strategy? I mean, you already said it.
Uh,
Like
oh, sustain or walking on them.
exactly. Basically, I
Oh,
mean,
angle. Yeah,
exactly.
angles.
Like the spam strategy. The most important thing is angles. And if we have an advantage, right? Like if we have, it's easy. Like just think about a 5 versus 6. Like how does a spam team think about, I don't know, double sniper? Um, like what would we do?
They're on double sniper.
Sorry,
We
like
would
yeah.
uh probably play a little bit more around natural cover, and then whenever they're close, we can just hard abuse them because they don't really have that much burst and brawl potential, so we can just walk onto them whenever they try and walk up.
Yeah, I think you misunderstood me. I don't mean like if they have double sniper.
Oh,
If we just have a like
oh, if we have double
yeah,
sniper,
like if we have any spam comp
we
like wait,
probably play a little bit more back and play more for angles and like pick potential than walking onto the enemy team.
okay. I think we just misunderstood us here. Um, Basically, the only
Oh,
thing I wanted to ask is the following: like, if we're playing any spam strategy, can also be this, whatever, right? And we
yeah,
have this, let's say, this position here. Obviously, we have our different angles here against this team. So, and
yeah.
we are like in an advantage now. What is a possible
Hmm.
advantage? Could be a cooldown advantage, ultimates, whatever. Let's make it super simple. We're just basically 5 versus 6. So it's easy
Yep.
advantage. Doesn't mean that it
Just walk.
doesn't matter against what. But yeah, but where do we walk? Do we just kind of push in into them? Like this is the enemy team here. This is let's say a Rhino team or whatever. Or like I don't care whatever team. This is just enemy team. Like they have this position. Maybe even here. I don't know. Like what do we do now? Where do we walk? Do we walk like this, like A? Or where else do we
Say
walk?
more, I would say more kind of push your off angle harder, not really directly on to, yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Like more push your off angle than onto them.
Exactly. Like this is the important thing. Like this is such a big difference compared to like a brawl or dive strategy, right? Like think about if you're playing any brawl strat, like for example with a I don't know, like a Reinhardt, right? Mei, Reaper, Lucio, whatever. If we are like 5 versus 6, like what do you do then? Right? Like if you're here, we're like 6 players. The enemy team is like 5 players. What do we do? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
If we're the 5 players?
No, if we are the 6, we are queen. We are 6.
Oh, right. You just walk on to them.
Yeah, you just literally push, right? You just look for the fight. And the same thing also
Yep.
if you're playing at any dive strategy, right? Like if Winston, Tracer, Genji. I mean, if we are 6 players and they are 5, I mean, we just jump on them, right? We just engage. But the big difference is compared to like a spam strategy where kind of we are not winning through pushing, right? Like the win condition is like this, that we take angles, that we force cooldowns, and then we get kills through there. Like we get kills range. There is no pushing. There is no push to get kills because we don't have to. Like a Widowmaker, an Ashe, and Hanzo doesn't have to like get close range to get kills. They will just kind of push the angles even more. So if we have an advantage, basically, as for example, right, like as a spam strategy here, and the enemy team is maybe also something has also space. Like what we just do is, okay, we have an advantage. We'll just push them. We'll just take this angle away here, put ourselves here, and then it looks like this. And then now we have obviously more space than them, and this will win us the fight. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And this is exactly kind of the moment what happened here. Like we were fighting against the Ball Tracer, right? Like look at this here. Okay, Ball, come on, yeah. Like right now, when the Hanzo goes up, so like right now, what happens is that we have this angle, we shoot some from here, and we shoot from here. Like these are the 3 kind of lanes or angles or like whatever you want to call them, control what we have, right? Like this is kind of the space that we hold right now. An enemy team, they shoot from here, they shoot from here, and they pressure us here. So what happens now? And this will also be always kind of this neutral thing. Like this is what normally happens. If obviously we both teams here fight for map control, right? Both teams try to control more space of the map because they can use it then to either stage a dive or to just keep spamming. And now what happened is that we won here, that they have to go away. So what we can do now is just, okay, we just like, because if the Ball Tracer basically is not in play, at least they have to go back, right? We can just push them up here and force them away from there. And either, like from here in this moment, and either now this gives us a kill, like because we push up here maybe, with the Ashe, we help her to get in this position. Obviously this position is better, like, right, like from here, sure, you have a nice position, but obviously from here you have even better angles, right? It's obviously aggressive, but I mean, we can do this for, obviously not forever. Like we cannot stay here forever. At some point our Sigma shield will break, but we can do it at least for like 5 seconds or so and give the Ashe like 2-3 nice headshots, right? Which is maybe enough. And maybe even in this whole push where we say, hey, like, look, we pushed the Hanzo. If he is not quick enough, maybe we can even stun him, or we can like give him a headshot when he retreats, things like this, right? So at least we get a good kind of cooldown trade if we kind of control this area here, and obviously this area, and yeah, and then we have kind of this great angles here. We have most of the map control, and hopefully either we get a kill or we get more cooldown trades, and so on. Does it make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is kind of what I think is missing, because you both, like you as a team, right? You played this really well, but I think you missed the opportunity here, because now obviously the Ball Tracer, they are now basically prepared, like they're back again. They have like all the cooldowns, and of course we will win this fight. Like this is not a question, right? That we kind of that this Hanzo and like our Hanzo Mercy basically, that they cannot easily take this angle, because I mean we have 2 shields here, right? And they have only 1, so of course we will win this range fight. So what's way more interesting is is like this, because like the problem is or maybe a question, like why can we not just now push easily on the Hanzo? Why can we not always take this space? Why can we not always just stay here and here, for example?
Yeah.
Like why not? Like why is this a threat? Or what would happen if we do this? What do you think?
If we took like the high ground or where Orisa is.
Yeah, no, if we just like play here, if we just like push up now.
The ball is set up to go on our go on our BAP. Like they can easily punish our Orisa and BAP who are still on point.
Yeah.
Because the ball is set up behind us and Tracer is as well.
Yeah. Like if we right now, like they're right, like we know we haven't forced them out. So, and obviously whenever there is this kind of this dive potential, like here this dive, we need to be kind of ready for it. We need to be we cannot, like we need to definitely have basically you both always need to have line of sight, because you need to support each other when the dive comes in, and we generally speaking need to be kind of prepared or like playing defensive against this, because again, like we will not lose this poke fight here. Like we have 2 shields, they have only 1, so we do not have to take like 10 million angles here. We don't have to take like, I don't know, 20 angles, because if we do, then the ball tracer, sorry, different color here. If we just take here 20 angles, the ball tracer, what they do, they just pick one of them, and then the ball tracer here, they just, I don't know, dive this one, and there's no way of us helping this. So what we do instead is just we take 2 angles, like 2 strong ones, and we make sure that we don't die. And if they are out, if we force them out, or we know, hey, we have an advantage here, or maybe the Hanzo is dead or something like this, then we can push with like one of those angles, right? Like carefully, but we can push and take this opportunity. And then if the ball traces back, then we can go back to a good position where we can obviously see each other, where we have like a nice line of sight, and so on. Does it make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, nice anticipation there from you against the tracer. Was a really nice peel. And look, like this, and this is kind of what naturally happens, right? Like because they have this ball tracer, because they have this dive potential, like we force us more and more together. Like we are grouping up more and more. Do you think this is bad, or do you think this is okay to do?
It's okay if we're gonna push something, but if they kind of force us into a corner, it gives them a lot more opportunities to take angles onto us, competitively onto them.
Yeah, exactly. Like imagine if this is Sigma Sen, they would just like walk like this, right? And the end result would look like they are like here, Sigma Sen from here, and then maybe the ball tracer, like they would shoot us from there. And obviously, this looks really bad. So
yeah,
so I'm completely with you. So basically, we are basically going here together. Like we are kind of kiting back, which I think is fine. It's definitely okay. Like this is good, because right now the ball tracer, they were just diving us. So we are basically in this just okay. Not panic, but you're like, okay, surviving. We need to survive. And what is the easiest, or like what's the most natural form to survive? Group up. I mean, the Baptiste AoE healing, right? Like easy lamp. You have AoE healing, so we have a shield and so on. Like obviously, if we group up, we are able to survive. So it's really nice. But now we need to make a decision. Like now, exactly in this moment, we need to make a call of how do we approach it now? Do we want to stay as a group, which is completely okay? Then we need to push. Like then we need to just like, we cannot just wait for them to kind of just surround us, right? And then kill us. No, we need to actively go towards somebody. I don't care who, but we need to actively push out one angle, one side. Or we can say, hey, we survived this dive right now, like the ball, right? Like, where is it? Need the ball. Look at his cooldowns. He has no more cooldowns. Like he has like the shield is on cooldown. Like he has no pilot driver and so on. He's basically going out. Like he just used cooldowns. He's gone. And I think the tracer, does she still have recall? No, the tracer also doesn't have recall. She has no blinks. She has no recall. So basically, we survived the scariest part, and now we could also just say, hey, we did it. Ruiz and Baptiste, you can just like push here again. Right, and then we can just shoot the Sen and the Sigma from this side, and then our Ash, Brick, and Sigma, they can shoot them from there, and then most likely, I guess the Sen will maybe even die. These are the 2 options. Does it make sense for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, again, like I mean, right? I don't try to tell you like, okay, like this is better, this is better, this is worse, or this is better. Like I don't really care, to be honest. Like I don't care if you go for this more brawly style right now that you just stick together, or if you're playing for the spam style and just take angles here, you know, like and split out a little bit. I don't mind. Like the most important, like it's also not important if you do the maybe quote unquote right thing, because to be honest, between us, there is no right or wrong anyways. Like it doesn't exist. Like you cannot just say, it's so wrong what they're doing. No, it's just okay, they make this decision. But as long as you do this decision like with 6, like that all 6 of you, the other way around, that all 6 of you kind of make this one plan, that they make this one move, then I'm fine. Like if ever, either basically we spread out and then we all kind of play for the angles and so on. And this is our win condition, which also means this Tracer has to go back and should take care of the Tracer again, as we did at the start. Or we say, no, we group up together and we push. Then obviously our Tracer can also be aggressive. Because if we push already, like if we have 5 players hit stuck together, we're not really so scared from the ball Tracer diving us. Like sure, they can still dive us, but I mean, we're all together. It's not like we're not scared. So our Tracer doesn't have to be the babysitter, right? Like if the Orisa piece is here, and we are just basically 2 and 3 groups, then we are more scared. Like then we are scared as Baptiste. Like, oh shit, if the ball Tracer dives me, it's at least more scary. So then we want the Tracer to be here, and like not here where the Baptiste is, but here because he is the Tracer, and we want that the Tracer babysits a little bit, so that the enemy Tracer cannot easily just go here in one clip. Make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Now look at this. We all together because Sigma was too far, like enemy Sigma was too far in front, and we just basically like rushed them now. Obviously here, like this is scary, right? I want to see the Ashe immediately following up with us, because if she stays longer, then we see it already. They're already kind of preparing themselves. So the Ashe definitely has to come with us. Yeah, was a tiny bit too late. She was a little bit too split, and she got punished. Same thing here, right? Like the moment here we say now we go in the Hanzo. Okay, now I want everybody in the Hanzo. Like I want, like the Tracer is fine, because again the Tracer is, I mean she has blinks, she has recalls, she's mobile enough. But this one here, again, scary thing. Like you're right, they could do the same thing, even though like, I know they're down some players, but they could still like just dive on the Baptiste. I don't know if he would die immediately. I mean you can see him and so on, but it would be way better if the Baptiste just goes here with you and just push the Hanzo together. Or we just say, hey, we don't want to brawl. We just want to split. Then I want to see either the Risa or the Sigma going to him. Like, but he cannot stay alone. Make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So. It's really nice how you kind of carried also like how you carried the Ashe to your spawn, because obviously it's the same thing, right? If you pick it, like if you zoom out and we say, yeah, good look here, like here we are 5 and here's like this one Ashe, obviously, yeah, if the ball Tracer could just go to them, why not, right? So it's really good how you escorted the Ashe to make sure that she can come to us safely. So okay, then let's watch the next fight. All right, so much is happening. Let's slow it down from there. Let's watch for the first kind of thing. Okay, that's how we position. They dive in, take the ball, so, and this happened. What do you think about this move so far?
Fine. We forced the ball out pretty hard, but we let their backline position top left. So they're kind of gonna have a lot of angles on us on point.
So
So we should probably, since we just forced the ball out, we know the tracer's behind us, we can kind of just walk under and onto them for free. They can't really do much.
you mean like this?
Or go, yeah, do that.
Yeah, like this. I agree. This could be definitely a possibility that we just walk on them right now. Maybe even with a Sigma ultimate, so they cannot run away. For sure. What would be the other option?
We can just turn around and kill the tracer or just force out tracer and then just retake angles.
Yeah, I mean, right? I mean, I don't know if we have to force the tracer because our tracer is already on her. So I don't know
Yeah.
if we like. I think she's dead. Yeah, she's kind of controlled. So what we can do is, hey, like they took now this plane. Okay, then we just like push out here, right? We put a Risa shield here, maybe with the Ash if she wants to, and then have the Sigma here. Maybe Sigma, even Baptiste or something like this. Like, you know, and we have these two angles, right? This could be another option that we can do. We either push here as together as 5. Basically, we brawl. Or we say, nah, you know what? Stay here, angle, and just keep spamming them. These are two options. Obviously, and like how, like, right, and how do we decide what we should do? Like, again, like, I just want to point out to make it really clear. In my opinion, it really does not matter what you do here, as long as you do something. Like, you don't want to stay 5 and just do nothing. If you group up, you need to push. If you, in my opinion, because if not, they just take all the space and they will win in the long run. Or if you split up, you want to stay at angles. Like you don't want that the Sigma and Brick just push alone. This is also not good. Like if the Risa and the Ash stay here, this is also not good, right? So either we split up and don't push, or we group up and push. And I really want to make it really clear here, and I don't really care so much like what you decide for. But whatever you decide for, you need to do it as 6, basically as a team. But yeah, to come back to the original question, what do you think would be the best decision? Should we just group up here and push, or should we take angles and say here, this angle and this angle?
I think we should group up and push.
And why do you make this decision? Like what made you think that this is a good move?
Because we can retake a lot more ground, I think, and we can like force them out of a really good spot and just like we can continuously walk on them and potentially just get picks on their core.
So basically, what you decided now on, you made it based on the position, right? You made it based on their position, on our position, on the map, like how the rotation would be. That's how you decided that, in your opinion, it's better to push. Does it make sense? Right. Perfect. And if you remember what I said before, like how do you decide what to do in the situations? Always based on position. What were the other 3 things?
Rotation?
No, like I said that you always want this, like you can always decide if you want to like what strategy you want to play based on this 4 criteria. Like these 4 criteria kind of determine like they describe a situation basically. Like every situation you can describe them with these 4 categories. And I said it was positioning.
Positioning, comp.
Okay. We're not just in the same way. Yeah.
I don't really remember.
No, exactly. It's a position. It's like the ultimates that we have right in this moment, the cooldowns, and the HP. Like depending on this 4, you make a decision like whatever, right? And every situation, like a situation basically, duration is basically this 4 things. Like this is this. That's the situation. Right, and you just basically the decision that you made, like, hey, we want to brawl, you made them now based on this positioning thing. But you forgot to implement basically other things. You could also say, hey, it's maybe better for us to brawl or to push in them because cooldowns, the brawler has no shield, the brawler has no slam, he just went in, right? This could be maybe a thing. Is this enough for us to push? Not alone, but maybe together with the positioning, it's good enough. And there's then the way more important one, like this are okay, you know what, HP, everybody has full HP, so it's also fine. But the way more important one is like the ultimates here in this case, right? So we can say, hey, look, we almost have ready. And I mean, we both know obviously ready is an amazing ult to push, like to brawl. So hey, if we have rally, then how about we just push to use rally, right? And then we immediately also know, okay, we want to use rally to push. Or we can say, you know what, we also have lamp, we have window. Window is obviously a great ultimate to get space. So we could just pop out here, window, and just spam them, right? The Sigma push, like it shoots them from here. The Baptiste shoots them from here. If they have to go away, then maybe we can even say, hey, you know what? I know we're just two, like it's just a Sigma and a brick, but we just like use rally and we just push them in there. And meanwhile, like they push here, and then you know maybe find up and brawl at the end. But basically, ultimates are a thing that you can also make your decision based on. And again, like there are multiple ways. Like you can either play around the Baptiste window, about the thing here, about the Bob, about the Sigma ult, whatever. Obviously, you have to also consider, hey, what do they have, right? Maybe pushing is not a good idea because I don't know. Our ult tracker said they have already trans. Obviously, if we push, then they just trans it is not so good. So yeah, that's kind of how you make a decision. But I really want to point out.
So, like another way to think about that rotation be saying, we almost have Rally and we have Flux to cut off the rotation, so we can just walk with Rally and Flux behind them, so we can catch them on their rotation, since we would have the ult advantage.
For example, this makes perfect sense, right? And this is one way of thinking about it. You can also just say, hey, you know what? We are such a good spot and such a good position. Let's just take this high ground also and like be really confident. And then if they peek out here, we just window, and we maybe flux window. A completely different style makes like both are completely fine. I would never say this is wrong or this is right. I don't think there is a wrong or right. The only thing it really depends on is like what you decide in the moment. Like what 6 of you want to do. Like there needs to be one decision, just one, that 6 of you follow. And I really don't care what you do. Like either you, as I said, push S5 and you really look for the brawl and do the plan of what you just mentioned, or you say no, we just stay back, take angles, whatever angles are good for us, and keep spamming. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then we keep shooting. All right, and we do this here. Like it's fine. I think it's okay, right? We have like the Ash shooting from here, the Sigma from here, and so on. Obviously, just a little counter mark on you, right? Like it's a very aggressive position you take there as a break. Like you're literally in the line of sight of the Sen and the Sigma and the Tracer here, so be careful about this. But yeah, so other than this, basically, I think it's fine. The decision that we make. Again, I have no idea if this was the right one. Maybe we, as I said, maybe we should have punished them harder. Maybe we should have been way more aggressive already. But it's the decision we took, and I don't know, if we play in Overwatch League, then we maybe would talk about this more, right? But we're not in Overwatch League yet, so we are happy that we make a decision as a team. And when we come to Overwatch League, then we talk about what decision was the right one. But for now, I don't really mind. I don't really care too much. So, not in mine. And we use ults, they use ults. And I like it, right? That immediately we brawl and that we kind of brawl aggressive. Anything you think we could have done better as a team here?
We kind of just sat on point and waited for them to come to us, when we could have probably... We kind of didn't really retake angles when they kind of forced us to group up.
Yeah.
We didn't really retake an angle on the right. We kind of just waited point and waited for them to engage onto us instead of pushing our angles.
Yeah, completely agree, right? Like, Richter here is just like doing nothing right now. The same with Baptiste. Like, why is Baptiste not just going here with the Sigma, for example, and just like keep shooting at them? And our Richter is actually pushing the angle here. Why not shielding here, right? Or like shielding at least a little bit more aggressive than the super passive shield here. So this could be definitely a thing. Completely agree. But another thing I want to mention is that here, like, obviously we use ultimates and so on, and we just decide to push. And I see that the Ashe obviously cannot go back, but that's a problem. Like, we talked about it, right? Like, if we brawl, we stick together as 5 and we push. like obviously the Tracer is the only one who can split because the Tracer is mobile, but our Ashe is not. So our Ashe, this is like super dangerous, the position that our Ashe is in. Obviously she couldn't do anything else because she was split, like there were mines and now the dragon. So she cannot do much, but now that the mines are gone, the dragons are gone, and we have rally, we know that we are in a really great spot. Like look at the HP, generally speaking, we know, hey, we just use a flux, we just use rally, we push into them, like we are basically right, like we're winning right now, so we have an advantage, so we don't have to take any additional risk, and this definitely here is a risk from the Ashe. Like it's a risky move of going outside basically alone. So check really quick. Okay, she does not have even any cooldowns, right? I think this would be maybe even okay if the Ashe pushes like this, if she has her gunshots to say, okay, the moment the Tracer comes to me here, I can just like, I don't know, gunshot my way here over the roof and get to my team. But she has literally no cooldowns, right? So she does this without any cooldowns, and she also gets punished for it. Yeah, and she gets punished here, and the Ashe dies, right? Like imagine this push from our team there would have not killed the Sigma, then it would be now a 6 versus 5, even though we played it really well. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's definitely not a nice thing. And also like here, I mean, I understand obviously that they have ready and that we don't want to sorry, that they have trans and that we don't want to like keep pushing too much, but I mean, we used window, we used also Orisa here, bongo, and we have a rally. Like we can definitely keep pushing. Like I know we cannot kill them, but the problem is if we just stay right now, like obviously, right, the thing is we still stay together. Like we together, like group ist gleich brawl. Right, so if we brawl, I want to see us pushing. I want to just run into them. I know we cannot kill them, but if we just stay here, then they go more and more and more and more and more away. And then if they're like, I mean, then they have distance, and then obviously if the trend is gone, we have to make all this way. So why not push now where the sand is running, right? Where the sand is not shooting us. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think here we definitely wait too long to push. You still get a sand in the Mercy, which is obviously great, but they took unnecessary space, or like they escaped unnecessarily, at least almost. All right. Yeah, let's take also a look at the last fight real quick.
60 seconds remaining.
Oops, a bit fast. Okay, we're taking angles, right? We're pushing, or like we're holding space and so on. Maybe, okay, but everything's fine. And now, right, like together with our Tracer, we go aggressive. We don't like push in, like we're not brawling. Why do we not brawl? Because, I mean, our tanks are split, so we basically angle. And this is fine, right? Like our Sigma just keeps pushing a little bit because we get a kill and so on, we want to push. But it's not like we are, like it's really different to brawl, right? We just expand our angle here. We go more and more further this angle, right? And this is just basically holding, this is kind of the anchor, what I mean. Like this always is just playing the anchor, and we keep pushing like our angle in on this position. And that's why that's so great with the Sigma, because he can just use his shield and he can replace it all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you see the difference between like brawling and being like pushing like this? Yeah, exactly. And you know, like I'm fine with you kind of dealing with the ball, but make sure that you don't get tunnel vision, because if the enemy Tracer would still be alive, I'm saying if, she could just do like this, and then it's a 2 versus 1.
And I
Yeah.
just get, yeah,
Like
I
you,
get rolled.
like you can do this, but you will never ever kill the ball. So the only job basically for you is, right, to make sure the ball cannot do much. So, but you can do the same staying here, right? Like you can still also take care of the ball. And so now we have an advantage. What do we need to do?
Push or take angles, or just aggress our advantage.
Exactly,
So
like
either put more pressure on angles or walk onto them.
100%. Couldn't have said it better. Either we just literally group up here and run a descent together, or we just say, hey, you know what, I just keep staying here and our Sigma and Ash are keep pushing. Like we keep expanding the angle basically, right? Take more and more aggressive angles. Maybe here we can also take more aggressive angles, but we do a split. These are the two options. But yeah.
Yep.
And we say we group up, and we push, and now we all run on the sun and send instead.
30 seconds
It's that easy.
remaining.
Great, good job. I think this was a really nice fight from you guys. Okay. Yeah, I think we watched now kind of some examples, and I think we, in my opinion, went over some really nice basics.
Yeah, we did.
Do you have any questions? Any last questions for the day?
No.
No? Okay. Normally I would make the summary, but I feel like every fight we went over kind of the same concepts and all over. So
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, do you need a summary of the things that we said? Or
No, I think I understand that pretty well.
okay, great. Obviously, I recorded the session anyways for you, so you can just rewatch it or send it to the team if you
Yeah.
want to. And
Yeah, I will.
yeah, then as always, right? Like if you want to make another session, you just message me and we see us next
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Yep.
All right,
Thank you,
then
Thor.
see you. Bye bye.
Goodbye.